this is this is a live feed from in the shower, um, and I'm going to talk about hyperinflation. Oh, sorry, hyperextended hyperinflation. And I guess relativity of sorts. Um, we have you have no idea like what this looks like. This looks like the most insane concept imaginable. Um, it's like this. It's like I was tricked into a thing that is so ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense at all. Um, by like the only way I can get this like by pirate under the flag of Australia that doesn't exist because Australia was in conflict. Um, so in an attempt to secure Australia as a separate vision from the British Empire. So Australia in itself is like a labour negotiation ongoing event between like individual parts of the British Empire and the United States is that as well. But they're yeah, that's all there is at the moment. It's all a mass negotiation with the British Empire and the Chinese Empire and the Russian Empire. Um, they attempted to break that down to an anti-Semitic conclusion, which is completely insane. Because the concept is so wide-reaching that there is no such thing as Jewish people like that. That's absurd. That you can't get. You can't really think about in this period. And I guess there's kind of a market share for people that have relocated to Israel banking on that. And they were a little bit naughty. Not even a little bit, quite naughty. But then in comparison in different places, not that naughty. It's, sorry for using the word naughty. Yeah, but most of this is just a massive labour negotiation. And like between yeah. Fucking hell. But the hyper-extended hyperinflation means that the price I can't even get to what it means. Like it's so I'm just trying to it's actually kind of making me feel unsteady and feel and then sometimes like food and which I think is perhaps all allowed to distract me. Maybe. Um, it's so wild. So this is all just floating up there right now. My guess is that they want to weigh out of me. I forget that I interacted. Oh, shit. Mm, mm. It's the absurdity of this thing behind it. And the economics of that in my head. That is what is blowing my mind. It means the perceived value. Like so if I warrant my new expertise in that means that is the highest value commodity is young men installing things in houses because that is being because that potential on the block paradigm and the renovation paradigm, like we're so deep in the weeds to the actual value. And some of these comparisons they've gotten because of the hyperextended hyperinflation, they learned how to balance out hyperinflation culturally so that it wasn't noticed until the point that so that it's so absurd now. Yeah, like so basically, we as a human race have built a system that is completely dependent on individuals voluntarily working at like at risk of death to battle almost single-handedly a giant machine designed to fucking kill them, stop them, or destroy them. That is running on the individual desires of majority people to appease an economy that was allowed to manifest and had the serious implications of it never being able to be identified because of strange coincidences towards until the point where we all die. We would end up with like warrior fucking queens at such a high distribution that it would be atrocious. It would be so dangerous. It's so strange because it's all just if we think about the amount, the distribution. I think there were inside basically like these certain things they weren't a con, well they were kind of a con. A lot of these institutions, they were rich people like doing these things, and there was a friction between how they built it and how much people complained, and then they learned to drag the complaints out, I guess, in a system called politics. And so inevitably politics, basically as we understand it, is a conflict with ultra barren. So it's like, and this is, you could say it's organised crime, but it's not. This is structural stuff. Organised crime exists underneath government kind of thing, unless it explodes into this network. But then there is a moral arrangement about which should be negative things. And this is where hundreds of years of monarchy existed. If you were the monarchy in England and you brought in heroin, you would be so dead. You'd so be dead. Because the conflict was smaller And the conflict was immediately violent because it was a vulnerability. And so this balance between the monarchy and the government, like, yeah, it's stable, but it's stably degrading into hell because there's no check. It's like right now, it's like, can I get how many people do I need to overthrow the Gingin Shire, disconnected from the whatever, and take that whole patch of land? Like, is that really just those group of people? And on what terms is it? And then that balances up to the top, where it's like the top, this whole place is turned into a fucking shithole. It's like, am I allowed to stop my own house deteriorate? And then the answer is no. You're not even allowed to protect your children to prevent your children becoming shitheads. Well, that's not a state. That's not anything apart from an enemy that's going to be like pushed back off this fucking land with the intensity of the entire British Empire and the entire Aboriginal race. And whoever else wants to get on board to save this island from that fucking nonsense. And then this ends up being like, this will more than likely be a couple of families in the United States of America projecting the entire force of the United States of America onto whomever they choose in however they fucking choose. Because they're still the fucking pirates. Now the thing with Trump is, like, Trump seems to be maybe trying to bring order, but we need our focus to be in the so listen, we're very sick of this. Australia didn't exist during the first American Revolution. This wasn't not just a war against Australia by the United States, but a continuation of their revolutionary war against the British Empire, which has caused global unrest. And so we are assuming the entire United States British Empire from this point on, under penalty of like immediate and utter destruction of everything you would consider to be American. This is a like basically they turned a slight advantage during a wartime alliance to a fucking holding their pocket in prison. Like, get fucked. Get fucked. Trump isn't there to fucking be the president. Trump is there as a fucking like negotiator, triage you into the correct path of fucking whichever place in hell you fucking belong. A lot of you not belonging anywhere near hell because you're part of a machine that you didn't realise you were aware of. They turned that entire fucking country into a fucking concentration camp, fucking aircraft carrier, absolute killing machine. Like you wouldn't believe. Skirting out 7 dimensions of fucking hell on wherever they fucking wanted to, in an attempt for those people to destroy themselves and for them to just sail on in and have a fucking party. The United States is Germany, World War II right now. And the war's finished. So they should sit fucking calmly still and prepare the fucking orders and start repairing your community. That have been asked to do a lot of times not even knowing. Every single nuclear bomb in the world is pointed at you right now. With not one person, not one region able not participating. This is the fucking end. We have continued on our history unchecked, drawn into your knowledge. The assumption that you were victorious and that you were being successful is your own arrogance that is also being constantly piped around the population to create this fervor in order to enact this type of fucking horror onto the world. We will sort it all out, like very slowly, very calmly, and we will try and figure this out. America, it's got to start fucking taking account of what you have just distributed around the world, not even of your own labour, not even of your own actual ability to pay. The thing about like paying, it's like, who is this? How many times is this question? Who is the global debt? The global debt, the national debt of the United States, that is what they owe the globe. The rest of the people, per capita, per their resources, per whatever, in a timely manner. But what is that United States if left to just a family of psychopathic fucking pirate drug dealers that have never held or maintained anything? The story of the United States, we're the only place where someone can become president. But that's not a good thing. That's the worst, most terrible. Maybe if that's a small little village, oh, good idea. Maybe it'll be a random bit of luck and he might put on a fucking good farm stall on the weekend. I don't know, plant some trees or something like that. When it's a president, it's like a fucking fist fight to get to the fucking front of the giant, the most largest fucking aircraft carrier on fucking earth, and then plow into any fucking particular place that you wish to. That position is of a pirate ship. Individual captains of ships fleets might make individual decisions and the next bit of higher order from the thing, and then let's check. So there was always a capability for, yes, like one ship to go off and do something like that, but for an entire continent attempted empire to try and do that with purely violence and purely subversion, with the only thing they're bringing being a tale, a story about United States dominance and United States superiority, and to entertainers, and half of that entertainment being also manipulation. What is America? What is the United States offering? And this is really upsetting because there's people there that are wonderful. Really, we're not. Because you because you believe in a lie. And that lie is far more horrific, especially with this extended period, than you ever would have imagined. That is what hyperextended hyperinflation looks like. When you're dealing with people that fucking broke the rules. It's very bad. And it had to be bad because it had to send a clear message as to what is going to happen to any one individual place on earth that tries this ever again in the new year. It had to be the worst turnaround, the worst flip. Just the absolute fucking Mad Max fucking chaos. And then we stroll in and we say, jolly good, so get off the fucking field before fucking whatever. And yes, we will treat the United States like a fucking schoolboy that just nicked something from a store because that's what it is. very good boy, and he's doing a very good job right now because the last little boy was very naughty. The last few little boys have been very naughty boys involved in very naughty behaviour. It took time to discipline that fucking country. Without the example, that's what our royal family does. They maintain an example at the highest order. A golf course is not the same. It's similar. It could have been a mistake. Golf is one of the games. There is a way for it to be, but that's the difference, I think. And so more than likely what we're trying to do on his retirement from president, he's going to buy an estate and he's going to attempt to begin that process for his family. And he deserves that right. And that is where he will, in the long run, disprove every single naysayer for his entire thing. Donald Trump had to do that. What he did, exactly every single thing, exactly as he did, in perfect order, relentlessly for his entire life, to be able to fucking hijack that pirate ship and bring it back to port. And he is a national hero. He is a British Empire hero. He is the greatest captain of any ship to ever exist. Because that thing was fucking on a pathway to hell. Imagine an out of control aircraft carrier just like it could. So large, so monstrous, so noisy. So well done, Donald Trump, Donald J. Trump. And I guess the only thing I can do is prepare for a history lesson from the world like you've never had before. And if you think Netflix or it's like you buckle yourselves in for the telling of this tale of what the fuck has actually happened, how we got here, what has happened, the pathways that it's like that is the great unknown for the vast majority of people. And it's going to be a